Your 20s are not practice years, they are the foundation years. Every habit you build, every risk you avoid or take, every standard you accept quietly locks in your future. This video is about why this decade quietly decides your money, your body, your confidence, your options, and your freedom. The purpose is simple: to wake you up before time does it brutally. If you are in your 20s, this is a warning. If you are past them, this is clarity. Subscribe to the channel if you want strength, discipline, and real self-improvement without lies. In your 20s, time moves with a strange power. Every moment you invest multiplies in value. Skills grow and compound faster than they ever will again. Your mind absorbs knowledge like a sponge, and your body adapts to challenges effortlessly. Mistakes are forgiven more easily. Recovery comes naturally. You can push yourself physically and mentally, and bounce back stronger than ever. But this window of advantage closes without warning. Men who idle, chase distractions, or waste their energy later face the consequences, not because life is cruel, but because opportunity has passed. Every second you spend now is a weapon. Wield it to learn, to grow, to create, to conquer. The choices you make today set the foundation for every year that follows. Use time relentlessly, attack life with focus, and build skills that will carry you far beyond your 20s. In your 20s, you are laying the foundation of who you will become. This is the decade where your character, your habits, and your self-image are forged in fire. You decide who you are when nobody is watching. The world is not applauding yet. No one is holding you accountable but yourself. Weak routines and constant compromises chip away at your confidence. They create a fragile identity that bends under pressure. Strong habits, relentless discipline, and consistent action create an unbreakable self-image. The man you build now becomes the man the world will see and respect later. After 30, changing identity becomes painful. It requires breaking patterns, unlearning comfort, and fighting old conditioning. This is why the 20s are your chance to act before life cements your path. Every choice, every habit, every challenge you embrace shapes your identity. Do not underestimate the power of small decisions repeated daily. They accumulate into a version of yourself that commands respect, success, and influence. Build the man now. The man who can handle adversity, who does not depend on external validation, who stands unshakable in his purpose. This is the decade where your essence is formed, where the blueprint of your life is drawn. Make it strong, make it relentless, make it yours. In your 20s, your body is not just a vessel. It is the battlefield where your future strength, health, and vitality are determined. Everything you do now sets the baseline for how you will age. Your muscles, your posture, your hormonal balance, your testosterone levels, your cardiovascular health, even your resilience to stress all respond to the actions you take today. Men who train hard in their 20s, who push their bodies through resistance, movement, and controlled suffering, build a foundation that carries them decades ahead. They maintain energy levels, fight fatigue, recover faster, and move with a confidence that others lose as they get older. Every set, every run, every fight, every drop of sweat compounds into long-term resilience. Strength is not just about looking good, it is about standing taller, commanding presence, and having the capacity to endure. Men who neglect their bodies now pay the price later. They spend years and thousands of dollars trying to repair joints, lose fat, regain strength, or boost energy artificially. The body resists shortcuts, it rewards consistency and discipline. Training is not just physical, it is mental. It teaches pain management, self-control, and delayed gratification. You learn to endure discomfort voluntarily, so you are never caught unprepared when life throws suffering your way. Move like a warrior, lift like a builder, fight like a survivor. Embrace voluntary suffering, because it becomes armor for the years to come. Every hour you invest in your health now multiplies into decades of vitality. You set your baseline in your 20s, you determine whether your 30s will be the beginning of decline or the continuation of dominance. This is your chance to build a body that serves your purpose, protects your life, and supports your ambitions. The choice is yours. Train, move, fight, suffer voluntarily, and make your body unbreakable before the years force you to pay. Your 20s are the battlefield where your financial destiny is decided. This is the decade where you learn whether you will be a consumer, living paycheck to paycheck, or a builder, creating real wealth and freedom. Most men waste this decade chasing status symbols, trying to look successful without actually building anything that matters. The world teaches harsh lessons when money is ignored. Debt accumulates, opportunities slip, and dependence grows quietly. Skills beat degrees every single time. Real earning power comes from what you can do, not what piece of paper you hold. Income beats status. A flashy car or a big title impresses nobody if your bank account is empty. Ownership beats comfort. The men who own businesses, properties, and assets decide their own path. Those who rent their lives to others trade freedom for temporary security. If you avoid learning how money works now, you pay a compounded price later. Your 30s and 40s will be a struggle to climb out of holes you could have avoided. Understanding money is not about theory. It is about practical action, about making it work for you, about investing time, effort, and intelligence to create systems that generate wealth while you sleep. Learn to sell, learn to invest, learn to create value, learn to take calculated risks, and understand the power of leverage. Every dollar you save, every skill you acquire, every connection you build multiplies into financial freedom in ways that are impossible to achieve later if you wait. The habits you form now, the mindset you adopt, the way you see opportunities versus obstacles, all of this defines whether you are trapped in a cycle of consumption or free to live life on your terms. Do not chase temporary pleasures, chase knowledge, chase skills, chase assets, chase the ability to control your own life and dictate your own future. Your 20s are the only time you can make mistakes without breaking your financial foundation. Use this decade to understand money, master it, bend it to your will, and become the man who builds instead of begs, the man who creates instead of consumes, the man who is financially unshakable before the pressures of life ever arrive. Your 20s are the ultimate proving ground for discipline. This is the decade where life stops making excuses for you and shows you exactly who you are when the pressure is on. Nobody is standing over your shoulder to make you wake up. Nobody is forcing you to train, to study, to grind, or to build something meaningful. Every choice is yours, every action is voluntary, and every failure is your responsibility. Men who fail in their 20s often blame circumstances, people, or luck. They develop a pattern of excuses that will follow them for decades. Excuses are easy. They offer temporary comfort. They hide fear and laziness behind reasons that sound valid, but achieve nothing. Discipline is hard, but discipline is freedom. Discipline teaches you to do what must be done, even when you don't feel like it, even when comfort whispers in your ear, even when pain tempts you to quit. The small acts of discipline you perform today compound into unshakable habits. Waking up early becomes automatic. Training becomes a ritual. Learning becomes a hunger. Building becomes instinct. By the time life demands more from you in your 30s, 40s, and beyond, your discipline will operate without thought. It will carry you through challenges, setbacks, and chaos with unwavering consistency. Discipline learned in your 20s is like planting a seed in fertile soil. It grows into a fortress of willpower, resilience, and self-mastery. Men who fail to learn discipline now trade short-term comfort for long-term mediocrity. They spend their lives reacting instead of acting, following instead of leading, waiting instead of creating. Your 20s are the last decade where discipline can be forged without unbearable consequences. Do the hard things now. Train when tired, work when bored, study when distracted, build when afraid, suffer willingly, push beyond comfort. The man who masters discipline in his 20s becomes unstoppable. He moves through life with control, power, and precision, while the man who chooses excuses becomes trapped in a lifetime of regret. Every day you delay, every excuse you accept is a day wasted. Your 20s demand action, consistency, and relentless pursuit of mastery over yourself. Learn discipline now, or prepare to learn regret later, in your 20s. The people around you determine the height you can reach. Your social circle sets your standards, your habits, your mindset, and your ambition. You become a reflection of those you spend the most time with. Friends can either lift you or drag you down. They influence what you tolerate, what you strive for, and how far you are willing to go. Low-level circles are dangerous because they normalize mediocrity. They teach you to settle, to complain, to make excuses, to avoid risk. When everyone around you is average, it is almost impossible to push yourself above the ceiling they create. Strong men, on the other hand, challenge you relentlessly. They demand more from you. They push you to train harder, think bigger, act faster, and aim higher. They expose your weaknesses, not to destroy you, but to make you stronger. You must recognize that your environment is either a cage or a launch pad. If you want to grow, you must be ruthless in curating the people in your life. Cut ties with those who normalize weakness, laziness, or victimhood. Distance yourself from those who are satisfied with comfort, gossip, or small thinking. Surround yourself with ambitious, disciplined, and high integrity men who inspire action instead of excuses. Every conversation you have, every interaction you engage in, either builds you or erodes you. Protect your time and energy. Your social circle will either expand your possibilities or define your limits. Do not fear confrontation or loneliness when it comes to your growth. The temporary discomfort of leaving toxic or weak connections is nothing compared to a lifetime of stagnation. The men who dominate in life, wealth, and health all understand this principle. They invest in relationships that stretch them, teach them, and demand accountability. They remove distractions and energy vampires without hesitation. Your 20s are the decade where your network becomes destiny, where the people you choose to surround yourself with determine whether you rise above average or remain trapped in mediocrity. Choose carefully, build a circle of excellence, challenge each other daily, hold each other accountable, and never let comfort or familiarity dictate your standards. Your ceiling is locked until you break free from the wrong crowd. Forge connections that lift, not weigh, and watch as your potential explodes beyond limits. Your 20s are the perfect decade to confront failure head-on. Failure now is cheap, almost painless compared to later in life. You do not have kids depending on you, mortgages weighing on you, or decades of reputation to protect. Responsibilities are lighter, recovery is faster, and your body and mind bounce back with incredible resilience. Every setback, every rejection, every mistake you endure now is an investment in toughness. Men who avoid failure in their 20s are unknowingly building fragility. They grow comfortable, risk-averse, and fragile under pressure. When life demands performance later, they crack under stress and fear exposure. The lessons you gain from failure cannot be taught in classrooms or learned from books. They are experienced, lived, felt deep in your muscles, your mind, and your soul. Failing fast is the fastest path to growth. It teaches you what works, what doesn't, and what you are capable of. Each failure carries a hidden lesson about resilience, strategy, and self-awareness. The men who dominate life are not those who never fail, but those who fail early, learn quickly, and adapt relentlessly. They experiment, they test, they push boundaries, they embrace discomfort, because they know it strengthens them. Your 20s are a shielded arena for failure, a laboratory where risk is manageable and lessons compound. You can afford to fall, to get rejected, to lose, and to start over. This is where confidence is forged, not from smooth victories, but from repeated confrontations with adversity. Every failure you endure and overcome now builds immunity against the failures life will throw at you in your 30s, 40s, and beyond. You learn patience, humility, strategy, and the power of grit. Men who master failure in their 20s emerge unstoppable. They see obstacles as opportunities, pain as progress, and rejection as a map to improvement. Fear becomes fuel, and setbacks become stepping stones. Do not fear falling, embrace it, pursue it even, because the lessons it teaches are priceless. Fail fast, fail often, but never fail without extracting every lesson it has to offer. Build a mindset where failure is nothing to fear, only a tool to sharpen your skill, refine your strategy, and grow the unshakable confidence that will carry you through every challenge life throws your way. Confidence is not a feeling. It is not motivation. It is not the words you speak or the image you project. True confidence is forged in action, in the repeated fulfillment of promises you make to yourself. In your 20s, you have the rare opportunity to build this foundation with minimal consequences. Every hard thing you commit to and finish becomes permanent. It leaves a mark on your psyche that cannot be erased by failure or doubt later. The men who talk endlessly about their goals without action are weak. Their words are empty because they are not backed by results. Real confidence grows quietly, invisibly, in the moments when no one is watching. When you choose to push through pain, discomfort, and resistance simply because you promised yourself you would. Every challenge you conquer, every task you complete, every boundary you push solidifies your self-belief. Your 20s are the decade where the cost of action is low and the returns are enormous. You can take risks, pursue difficult goals, and expose yourself to failure without permanent damage. The actions you take now become a mental library of proof that you are capable, that you can endure, adapt, and conquer. Motivation comes and goes, but the results of your actions are permanent. They create a deep-rooted confidence that sustains you when motivation fades. Confidence built in your 20s compounds like interest in a bank account. Every success, no matter how small, reinforces your ability to tackle bigger challenges. Every disciplined routine, every difficult conversation, every physical or mental struggle overcome, all of it builds a fortress of self-trust, of unshakable belief in your capabilities. Men who neglect action in their 20s will find confidence elusive in later years. They will second-guess, hesitate, and wait for external validation. They will stumble in situations where decisiveness is required, because they never tested themselves when it mattered most. To build confidence through action, you must choose challenges deliberately. Embrace discomfort and finish what you start. Push beyond the easy path. Resist the temptation of excuses and prove to yourself daily that you can handle more than you think. This is how permanent, unshakable confidence is created. Not in words, not in theory, but in relentless, disciplined action. The man who acts becomes the man who believes. In your 20s, you are writing the blueprint for every relationship you will have later in life. The way you treat yourself and what you accept from others now becomes your baseline. Your boundaries, your tolerance for disrespect, laziness, or emotional immaturity. All of it sets the standard for every partner, friend, and colleague you interact with. Weak boundaries create chaos, frustration, and repeated disappointment. They teach the world that you can be walked over, manipulated, or undervalued. Every compromise that erodes your self-respect compounds over time, leaving you stuck in cycles of toxic relationships and unbalanced partnerships. Strong standards, on the other hand, create peace, confidence, and self-respect. They make you magnetic to people who match your level of discipline, ambition, and integrity. They filter out distractions, drama, and energy drainers. In your 20s, it is easier to define these standards because you are still forming your identity, still learning what you truly need and deserve. Do not let loneliness, fear of rejection, or convenience dictate your choices. Choose partners from a place of strength, not from scarcity or emotional dependency. The men who wait for validation, affection, or approval from weak sources lose years trying to fix what should have been avoided. Those who define standards early in life experience relationships as growth, support, and aligned purpose, not as survival, negotiation, or compromise of self. Every interaction now sends a signal to the world about what is acceptable and what is not. Do not tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or inconsistency. They will multiply over time if ignored. Learn to recognize character, ambition, and compatibility, not just charm, temporary attraction, or comfort. The decisions you make in your 20s regarding relationships ripple across decades. Every boundary enforced builds self-respect. Every standard maintained attracts higher quality connections. This is the decade where you can afford to be selective, deliberate, and unyielding in your expectations. The man who masters relationship standards in his 20s builds a life filled with aligned partnerships, mutual respect, and shared growth. He does not chase, beg, or compromise. He commands, chooses, and elevates. Your 20s are the last opportunity to set these foundations without the weight of long-term obligations. Use this time to decide what is acceptable, what is non-negotiable, and who is worthy of your time, love, and energy. Build the relationships that serve your growth, reflect your strength, and amplify your potential. Your 20s are the ultimate crossroads where every choice reverberates into the decades ahead. This decade asks one brutal question every single day. Will you choose ease now or power later? Every time you scroll endlessly, skip training, avoid responsibility, or settle for temporary pleasure, your 20s will pass whether you use them or not. Most men wake up too late. You do not have to. Start acting like the man your future depends on. If this helped you, subscribe and stay disciplined. The work starts now.